So what a crazy week of earnings we just wrapped up, and this resulted in the S&P 500 climbing nearly 5% last month, which is quite an impressive run. Funny enough, this earnings season so far has been pretty strong for many companies. Either analysts were too pessimistic, or companies were able to adapt to this changing environment to still bring in a lot of profits. This is especially true with tech companies that are primarily software or cloud-based. So now that we're into August and most of the major companies out there have reported their earnings, we're starting to see some stability in a lot of these stocks. So let's see what Robinhood investors are buying here in August 2020. And in this month, I found the list to be pretty balanced, if you will. There were some good companies. There were some companies that I personally wouldn't own, but there are also some speculative companies in there as well. So it's going to be a fun video, guys. As always, if you enjoy this series, just hit that like button down below to show your support. And I know we've been doing this series for about 4 months now, and if you want me to continue doing this, all you have to do is just like the video and that lets me know. Now what I did notice is that a lot of these companies that were bought are at or just made new all-time highs recently. So it's a pretty interesting observation, and I'm curious to see how all of this plays out moving forward. Now if you're not familiar, for these 10 stocks we're going to be talking about, I like to typically mix up the order. Usually we go from number 10 to number 1, but for this month, let's start off with number 1 and work our way all the way to number 10. What I'll also do is share my quick thoughts on each one of these picks as we go through. So if you enjoy that, let me know in the comment section down below. But either way, guys, it's gonna be a fun video. Let's get into it. So Tesla stock makes up the top spot this month, and for good reason, after they reported yet another profitable quarter and had some very exciting news on their earnings call. The stock is up 27% on the month, which is phenomenal performance in the span of 1 month, and goes to show the amount of optimism investors see in Tesla at this time. This is despite the broader economic issues that are currently hurting other auto companies, and that really shows the strength of Tesla. I did make a video covering the Tesla earnings call and added some tidbits of information here and there, which makes me even more bullish on the company. So if you are interested, guys, check out that video. A link will be in the description down below. But regardless, in the last month, over 205,000 Robinhood investors bought Tesla stock, and you'll see this number compared to the number 2 stock in second, and it's quite staggering. So number 2 is Apple, and this stock comes in after their blowout earnings and unexpected strong quarter. For most of the month, the stock was relatively flat, hovering near the $400 level. But after this past earnings, it blew up, and you can see the movement on the chart here, pushing it up to over a 16% gain on the month. Remember, Apple is a $1.84 trillion company, so for it to move 16%, it needs huge inflow of capital. So clearly some large institutions are also bullish here, buying the largest company in the world, even at its all-time highs. Apple is planning a 4-to-1 stock split as well, which they announced, and that added to the news for the stock and the optimism for the stock, because typically this is seen as a good thing. This is seen as investors, they're able to quote-unquote buy the stock for cheaper now. And guys, if you want a video dedicated specifically on this Apple stock split, let me know in the comment section down below. I can create a quick video on that describing what exactly happens in this scenario. But regardless, over 118,000 investors bought the stock and added it to their portfolio. Another tech titan makes the top 3 list here, Amazon, which also had a strong earnings and is up a modest 10% here in the last month. Now I say modest like these returns are not phenomenal, but the fact is the market generally returns around 7% or so annually, so a 10% gain in a month is indeed phenomenal. Amazon again is benefiting from consumers shifting their spending and shopping online as the company continues to focus on quicker and quicker deliveries to consumers. AWS as well, which is a big arm of the business, is chugging along nicely, growing well still, and making them billions every year. 108,000 investors picked up Amazon, and this is a business that should be around for a while, especially in this new age that we're in. Number 4 is a pharmaceutical company, Moderna, and it's been so hyped lately as it's one of the candidates expected to release a vaccine soon. Because of this, the stock is up an impressive 20% in the last month, showing a lot of strength as investors seem very optimistic on the business. Personally, I'm watching this one from the sidelines because a vaccine doesn't necessarily mean profits for the company, which is something investors, in my opinion, are overlooking right now. Regardless, 101,000 Robinhood investors picked up Moderna last month for some healthcare exposure in their portfolio. Moving on, number 5 here, we have a surprise, which is Kodak, and it's only really gained this popularity in the last week or so, but it seems the hype and buy-ins are strong. The stock is up 888%, and really all those gains came in the last week, and I did make a dedicated video on Kodak stock here because of this run-up, so if you're wondering why it's up and what my thoughts are on this as an investment, I cover that in a dedicated video, so check that link again in the description down below. Nearly 96,000 investors picked up Kodak to ride this momentum, and if you are one of these 96,000 Robinhood investors sitting on massive gains, it may not be a bad idea to start taking some profits off the table, or at least that's what I would do. Pfizer is our next stock here, another pharma giant, and it's also been making news for vaccine headlines and progress. It's up around 11.5%, yielding an impressive 4% dividend, making it a very strong and compelling stock to own for value investors. Pfizer is a huge company with over $200 billion market cap, and in my opinion, is trading at good values despite the recent run-up as well. 90,500 Robinhood investors bought Pfizer last month, and like I said, even if the capital appreciation doesn't outperform from here on out, that dividend that Pfizer provides investors is attractive. Number 7 is good old NIO, and this stock has seen some wild volatility recently, but currently sits up around 27% as this EV wave continues to take the market by storm. Now, I've made a few videos on NIO in the last month or so, so if you want to check out my thoughts on NIO, you guys know I have a position in NIO, want to hear all about that, check out one of those other videos. Again, you know where to find that. But regardless, 88,600 Robinhood investors are also highly optimistic on NIO's future, and this is because it is a pure play Chinese company with big potential in the EV market in China, and many are dubbing this company as the next Tesla or the Chinese Tesla. So there's a lot of optimism around this business, which has led to some big buying. Now we're getting into our last 3, and good old Microsoft makes a list here, another $1 trillion giant. Microsoft is the first stock on this list so far that's down 0.61%, but that's essentially flat on the month, all things considered. They reported earnings as well, which were strong, but investors seem to have expected more, leading to some mixed reactions in the stock. Regardless, Microsoft is a solid business, you guys don't need me to tell you that, and the stock is sitting here at over $200 per share, so it's still holding at well over a $1.5 trillion market cap. 83,600 Robinhood investors picked up Microsoft in the last month, adding this stable blue giant to their portfolio, and if they continue growing at the rate they've been growing in recent years, these 83,000 investors will be very happy with their returns over time. Numero 9 here is Netflix, and Netflix is a stock that's in and out of the spotlight. Sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news. This time, I guess it's good news because the stock is up around 2.5% in the last month, and this was actually the first major tech company that reported their earnings. They had strong growth in subs in the last quarter, but their future outlook looks a bit soft here, which led to some selling in the stock. Regardless, the company is holding onto some small gains here in the last month or so. 74,800 Robinhood investors bought Netflix stock the last month, adding some streaming exposure to their portfolio. And personally, while I'm a consumer of Netflix, I prefer Disney stock because with their Disney Plus product, I believe they have a lot more appeal, especially to the younger audience and to parents as well, which I believe will give Netflix a good run for their money over the years to come. And just as an aside, Disney is trading at an attractive valuation in my opinion because of the broader business being temporarily hurt. So if you're looking for more of a value play, I think the answer is pretty clear here. Now, closing out our top 10 list, it wouldn't be complete without a SPAQ play, right? Spartan Energy SPAQ, which is expected to merge with Fisker, rounds off the list here, up 13.5% this past month. Now for a SPAQ play, you may think these are actually pretty weak gains, especially when we compare it to some other plays that I've come across in the last month or so. However, keep in mind that most of these SPAQs have had a pretty bad month here and lost a ton of value in the last few weeks. So if you are holding on to SPAQ and you are holding on to some gains right now, congrats, because your timing was actually pretty good on this one. As of today, just over 61,000 Robinhood investors bought SPAQ in the last month, and I do hope that they have an exit plan on this one. Now, I made made a video on details around this company and the merger with Fisker. So if you are interested, I do go pretty in depth there and I do give you my opinion on it. So check out the link, again, description down below. So guys, here we have it, another month, another top 10 list, but this time we have a lot more of a balanced list if you ask me. You have a lot of companies, like I said, that are blue chip, high growth tech companies. You have some pharmaceutical companies, and then you have your speculative companies, of course, because everyone loves some spec plays once in a while. This is a lot better than previous months when majority of the stocks were all highly speculative or extremely unclear future companies. So I can't really complain here. It seems like investors are finally starting to see the light in these stable companies. Now, in my opinion, I think it's because these companies just reported their earnings. They all reported strong earnings. Most of the stocks were up quite significantly after the earnings. So investors saw this and they flooded in. That's typically what happens with a lot of retail investors. But I'll just say this. If you were stuck bag holding some of these stocks over the next few months in the short term, I would personally want to be stuck bag holding a company like Microsoft as opposed to a company like Nikola or Genius. So take that how you will. That's just my opinion on this. But as always, I want to turn it over to you guys, and I want to know in the comment section down below what you thought of this top 10 list here for August 2020. I'm hoping that this trend continues for future months and investors start to realize that these big, stable, blue chip companies do still provide growth, do still provide opportunity, and provide you a ton of safety versus these high risk, high spec plays that we've been seeing a lot in the last couple of months. So again, I'm going to ask you guys, if you want me to continue the series September till the end of the year, let's say, let me know in the comment section down below. Please hit the like button to let me know as well. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.